Ethan Cole sat alone in the cockpit of his small freighter, the Silver Path, as it drifted through the empty black of space. The hum of the engines was steady, and the blinking lights of the control panel gave him something to focus on. He was far from any trade routes, far from stations or colonies, in a sector where almost no one ever came. The stars out here felt colder, sharper, like they were watching him. His mission was simple: deliver a crate of rare minerals to a research station at the edge of known space. But tonight, space felt heavier, as if something was waiting. The first sign came as a ripple on his sensors. At first, it was just a spike in the readings, a burst of energy too large to be natural. Ethan frowned, leaning forward, tapping the screen. His ship's AI gave a low warning tone. The numbers kept climbing. "That can't be right," he muttered. The energy level was beyond anything he had seen, far stronger than any ship's reactor. A chill crept into his chest. He looked out the viewport. Space ahead seemed darker, like a shadow within the stars. Then he saw it movement. Something vast, something alive. It slid out from the void with slow, terrifying grace. At first he thought it was an asteroid or a derelict station, but then the stars shifted behind it and he understood. This was a creature, not a ship, not metal. Flesh and bone, but the size of a small moon. Its skin was a deep black that drank. The light, its surface rippling like the hide of some deep-sea animal. Two enormous eyes burned like dying suns, golden and ancient. Ethan's heart pounded. His hands hovered over the controls, but he knew running would be pointless. Every instinct told him this was a predator. His AI's voice trembled. Unidentified life form detected. Probability of survival unknown. The creature slowed. As it approached, and the stars around it vanished into its massive shadow, Ethan could feel it like gravity, like the air before a storm. Then something impossible happened. The creature lowered its head in the void. Its massive body tilted forward in a gesture Ethan could only describe as bowing. His mind couldn't. Keep up. Predators did not bow. Creatures like this did not submit. Yet here it was, in the silence of space, bending before his tiny freighter. The comm system crackled with static. Then, through the distortion, came a single word. It was deep, resonant, and broken with an accent that was almost human. "Master." Ethan's mouth went dry. Stared at the speaker, unsure if he had heard correctly. "What did you just say?" the voice repeated, slower, as if learning his language. "Maz. Tur." There was a strange weight in the sound, a mix of respect and something older, something like worship. Before he could speak again, his ship shuddered. The creature's body began to glow with faint lines of light like rivers of energy under its skin. Ethan realized it wasn't moving closer. It was pulling him. A silent wave of force gripped the Silver Path and dragged it forward. It fought the controls, but they were useless. The stars blurred as his ship slid toward the creature's massive head. The blackness ahead opened. It was not a mouth exactly, but something like an entry tunnel lined with living walls. The moment they crossed inside, the starlight vanished. Ethan was swallowed by darkness, broken only by a dim, pulsing glow from the walls. His sensors went wild, filling with data he couldn't understand. The air in the cockpit felt heavier, as if the creature's presence had reached inside. He gritted. His teeth, "If this is the end." He unstrapped himself and stood, the ship still gliding forward under alien control. The tunnel widened into an enormous chamber. Shapes floated in the glow-organic structures, half flesh, half crystal, like the inside of some ancient cathedral. In the center, a platform rose from the living floor, and a figure formed there. It was a projection tall, vaguely humanoid, but built from shifting light. Its eyes glowed the same gold as the creature's. It spoke again, the voice now smoother, learning quickly. "I am Varkath, the last and strongest of my kind. I have searched for you." Ethan's mouth worked without sound. He couldn't think of anything to say. Varkath's gaze seemed to pierce him, seeing everything: his memories, his fears, his smallness in this vast galaxy. "I will serve," the voice said. "I will protect. You are the one." The words were simple, but they felt like an oath. Carved in stone, Ethan wanted to demand answers Why him? What this meant? What danger could make such a creature bow? But before he could speak, the chamber trembled. Somewhere outside, something else had arrived. Ethan felt it before he heard it, triples of hostile intent pressing against the creature's mind. Varkath's golden eyes narrowed. "Hunters," it said. "They come for me." The chamber's glow deepened to a blood-red hue. Ethan could sense the tension building like the moment before lightning strikes. And then, from somewhere deep inside the creature's body, alarms began to sound. A distant, metallic voice, sharp and urgent, cut through the air. Multiple warships detected, weapons hot. The silver path shook as if caught in a growing storm, and Ethan realized with a sharp, cold clarity whatever was coming next. There was no going back. Ethan barely had time to grip the railing before the chamber shook again. Harder this time, like the deep thud of distant explosions. The red glow from the living walls flickered as Varkath's voice rumbled all around him. "They are here. What do they want?" Ethan demanded, trying to keep his voice steady. Varkath's golden eyes didn't blink. "They want my death, or my chains." The projection's gaze shifted upward as if listening to something Ethan couldn't hear. Then the image turned back to him, speaking in short, sharp words. "You must choose. Fight or flee." Ethan hesitated. "I don't even know what's going on." "You will," Varkath said simply, and the chamber's walls began to shift. Flesh and crystal folded back, opening into a long, narrow tunnel. A thin beam of light cut through the darkness. Ethan's ship being moved toward the creature's outer surface again. When the silver path emerged back into space, the sight waiting for him froze his breath. A fleet, not one or two ships, dozens, maybe hundreds. They filled the black, arranged in a wide circle around Varkath. Each vessel was different in design and color, clearly belonging to multiple alien races. Sharp, blade-like ships of the Creon, heavy armored behemoths of the Drav Coalition, sleek silver darts of the Javara Swarm. All pointed their weapons inward, toward the predator that had once made entire planets tremble. A single, massive flagship moved forward. Its hull was scarred, patched with layers of ancient armor. From it came a deep broadcast signal, translated instantly into human speech. "Unknown human vessel. Step away from the predator. You are in possession of a Class Omega threat. Failure to comply will result in your destruction." Ethan's ship spun slowly in the gravity wake, the predator's huge head still lowered just behind him. He looked at the ships, then back at Varkath's glowing eyes. His pulse thundered in his ears. "You're not going to attack them, are you?" "I will do as you command," Varkath said. The words were quiet, but there was something terrifying beneath them, like the promise of an earthquake. Ethan's mouth felt dry. Every logical thought screamed that this was insane. But some small voice in his mind, the same one that had carried him through smuggling runs and asteroid belts, whispered that this choice mattered more than he could yet understand. Took a deep breath. "Don't kill unless you have to." Varkath gave the smallest nod, then turned its massive head toward the fleet. The cum channel crackled again, this time with a voice far angrier. "Human, you do not understand what you are dealing with. That thing is responsible for the destruction of 20 civilizations. It will never obey you." Ethan looked at the glowing eyes behind him. "It's obeying right now." The alien commander's tone dropped to a cold, almost pitying growl. "Then you are already doomed with it." On the edges of the fleet, massive weapon arrays began to glow, building energy. Ethan recognized the type from old smuggler rumors, planet killers. One shot could vaporize a moon. The ship's warning sirens began to scream, but there was nowhere to run. Varkath's voice came again, calm and steady. "Give the word." Ethan's throat tightened. The glow from the alien flagship's main cannon grew brighter, bathing the surrounding ships in deadly light. He didn't get the chance to answer. The weapon fired, and the void lit up. The beam of light tore through space, bright enough to burn shadows inside Ethan's cockpit. He braced for impact, sure that nothing could survive that kind of firepower. But the strike never reached him. Varkath moved faster than Ethan's eyes could follow. The Predator's massive body twisted, and a wave of invisible force pulsed outward. Space itself seemed to ripple. The beam bent, folding in on itself, then shattered into fragments of harmless light that scattered across the void. Like dying sparks, the fleet reacted instantly. Dozens of smaller ships broke formation, moving to encircle them. Ethan's console lit up with target locks from every direction. His cum exploded with overlapping alien voices, some shouting orders, others yelling in fear. Amid the chaos, one voice cut through measured, full of authority, human. The alien commander said again, "You have no idea what you're doing. That creature has slaughtered billions. We have fought for centuries to trap it. If it is free, no world is safe." Ethan's hands tightened on the control sticks, but he didn't fire. "Saw what it just did," he replied. "Kill you. It stopped your weapon without harming your ships. Maybe it's not what you think it is anymore." Commander's tone hardened. "Predators do not change. You will learn this when it turns on you." Ethan glanced at the massive, golden eyes hovering just behind his ship. They were still fixed on the fleet, patient, waiting for his command. "If it wanted me dead," Ethan said, "I wouldn't be here talking to you." The commander hesitated, then gave a short, sharp order in his own language. The alien fleet held position, weapons still ready. "Then prove it," the commander said. "Bring it to the council. If it obeys you, it will answer for its crimes." Varkath's voice rumbled softly in Ethan's head, almost like a whisper. "They will not bring me to their council. They will kill me before we arrive." Ethan's stomach sank. He didn't need to ask why. The way every ship here had its weapons trained told him enough this wasn't a diplomatic request. "What's a setup?" "Do you trust me?" Varkath asked. Ethan let out a slow breath. "I don't know yet. Let me show you why you should." Before Ethan could respond, Varkath's body shifted again. Energy flowed under its skin in bright rivers of light. The alien fleet opened fire in panic, streams of plasma, missiles, and energy lances filling the void. But every shot bent or slowed before reaching them, as if space itself refused to allow harm. The cums filled with shouts and alarms from the alien ships. In the chaos, Varkath sent out a deep, resonant signal, not in words, but in pure sound. Ethan felt it more than heard it vibrating in his bones. The smaller ships staggered in formation, their engines flickering. The alien commander's voice came again, now tinged with anger and desperation. "Enough. Surrender. Human." Ethan leaned closer to his cum. "I already told you we're not here to kill anyone. But if you keep firing, you're going to make me change my mind." The commander didn't answer. Instead, Ethan's sensors picked up a sudden movement. From the shadow of the alien flagship, a small craft detached, too small for a fighter, too fast for a shuttle. It was headed straight for him, Varkath's. Golden eyes narrowed. "Hunter," it said, voice low. Ethan barely had time to react before the small craft closed the distance. His warning alarms screamed. Targeting reticle flashed red on his console. Someone on that ship had him in their sights. Through the viewport, Ethan caught a glimpse of the attacker humanoid. Armored, with a long rifle mounted to its shoulder. The weapon's barrel glowed with charging energy. It wasn't aiming at Varkath, it was aiming at him. The shot came fast for Ethan to dodge. A streak of blue light ripped toward the silver path, but before it could hit, a wall of shimmering force erupted between his ship and the assassin's craft. The blast splashed harmlessly across it, scattering into glowing fragments. Varkath's voice boomed in the cockpit. "You are under my protection." The assassin didn't retreat. Instead, the small craft swung hard to the side, circling like a wolf looking for an opening. Another energy bolt lanced out, this time aimed at Ethan's engines. Again, Varkath's barrier held. But the force of the impact shook the entire ship. Ethan's cum lit up with a direct channel request from the assassin. Against his better judgment, he accepted it. A voice he recognized instantly cut through the static of voice from his past. "Still getting into trouble, Cole?" The words dripped with mockery. Ethan's stomach tightened. Hark, Commander. Darius Hark had been his rival back in the Navy, a man who valued power above loyalty. Hark had vanished years ago after being caught in a black market weapons deal. Now here he was, aiming a rifle at Ethan's ship in the middle of an alien standoff. "You always did have a talent for being in the wrong place at the wrong time," Hark said. "But this time, you stumbled onto something worth more than any fleet in the galaxy." Ethan's eyes narrowed. "You mean Verketh?" Hark chuckled. "I've read the old records. The Predator can crush worlds with a thought, and now it listens to you. That makes you the most valuable piece on the board. So here's the deal. Hand it over to me or I'll take it off your corpse." Before Ethan could respond, Varketh's golden gaze locked on the assassin ship. "This one seeks to bind me," the Predator said. "Many have tried. All have failed." "Don't kill him," Ethan said quickly. "I need to know why he's here." Varketh tilted its massive head slightly, then spoke again. "He carries a signal beacon. It is calling others." Ethan's sensors confirmed that Hark's ship was broadcasting encrypted coordinates to deep space, and something was answering. "Who's coming, Hark?" Ethan demanded. "You'll see soon enough," Hark said with a smirk. His craft suddenly pulled away, accelerating hard toward a distant point in the void. Ethan didn't like the feeling twisting in his gut. "Follow him," he told Varkath. The Predator moved without hesitation, gliding through space with a speed no engine could match. The alien fleet scattered out of its path, some firing in panic, others pulling back. Hark's signal led them, away from the standoff, deeper into a sector marked on Ethan's maps as an ancient combat zone, a place where massive battles had been fought centuries ago. As they crossed into the region, Ethan's sensors began to pick up strange, irregular shapes drifting in the dark. Shattered hulls of warships, rusting weapon platforms, and fragments of enormous machines floated like bones in a graveyard.
Ow.
The wreckage stretched for thousands of kilometers in every direction. Varkath slowed, its voice low and edged with warning. "This place is death to my kind. The weapons here were built for one purpose: to kill predators like me." Ethan scanned the debris. "If it's all wreckage, we should be fine." Verketh's eyes dimmed slightly. "It sleeps." Until called. Ahead. Hark's craft drifted into the center of the graveyard. He stopped there, waiting, almost daring Ethan to come closer. Ethan's sensors suddenly spiked. 1, 2. Then dozens of dormant weapons flickered to life across the battlefield. Red targeting beams crisscrossed the dark, all converging on Varkath's massive form, and then the first cannon moved, ancient metal groaning as it turned toward them. The graveyard had awakened. The first cannon fired with a deep bone-shaking thum that echoed even through the void. A beam of crackling red energy slashed across the darkness, grazing Varkath's flank. The Predator twisted away, but Ethan saw a smoking scorch mark along its black hide. "These weapons are old," Varkath growled, "but still deadly." All around them, the graveyard came alive. Enormous turrets spun on creaking mounts. Missile pods unfolded from broken hulls, and skeletal war drones drifted out from behind shattered cruisers. Their eyes burned a cold blue, locking onto Varkath. Like wolves scenting blood, Ethan's console was screaming warnings, red lights flashing in every direction. "They're surrounding us," he said. "They are following the call," Varkath replied. "Your hunter has fed them my scent."
Arcs.
Small craft darted between the wrecks, keeping just far enough ahead to stay out of reach. Ethan caught a glimpse of the man's face through his cockpit canopy, a smug grin, as if he'd already won. "Eh?" Missiles streaked past Ethan's viewport, close enough to rattle the silver path. He swung the freighter hard to the side, but the debris field left little room to maneuver. One wrong move, and he'd smash into a drifting warship. Varkath surged forward, curling its vast body around Ethan's ship like a living shield. The Predator's skin shimmered with faint light, absorbing small impacts. But every major hit shook it to the core. "They will keep firing until I fall," Varkath said. "Not if we outthink them," Ethan shot back. He studied the chaotic battlefield on his display, looking for patterns. The ancient drones moved in tight packs, herding Varkath toward the center where the largest cannon waited. An enormous weapon embedded in the remains of a space station. "They're driving us right into that thing," Ethan realized. Varkath's. The voice was calm, even now. Then we turned their trap against them. Ethan's mind raced. He pinged his ship's sensors, marking several unstable Rex hulks loaded with unexploded munitions. Varkath, if you push those Rex into the line of fire, the chain reaction might take out half their guns. The Predator's golden eyes glinted. A clever hunt. With a sudden burst of speed, Varkath weaved through the debris, smashing huge chunks of metal into the paths of the drones. The next volley from the ancient cannons hit the floating Rex to dawn, triggering massive explosions that lit the void with fire. Several drones were torn apart instantly, their burning remains spinning into the darkness, but it wasn't enough. The largest cannon was still charging, its barrel glowing brighter and brighter. "Ethan," Varkath said quietly, "the weapon aims for me. I will shield you." "No," Ethan began, but it was too late. The cannon fired. A searing beam of white energy lanced across the graveyard, striking Varkath square in the chest. The Predator's roar shook the very air inside Ethan's ship. Light burst from the wound, spilling into the darkness. Varkath's body shuddered, its movement slowing. Ethan's sensors blared with readings he didn't understand, life signs. Dropping, energy flow collapsing. Still, Varkath held its ground between Ethan and the cannon. "You live," the Predator rumbled, its voice weaker now. Ethan gripped the controls, heart hammering. "We're getting you out of here." But before he could act, a low, ominous sound rolled through the wreckage, like the hum of an awakening giant. The ancient battlefield wasn't finished yet. All around them, more weapons were coming online, drawn by the scent of blood in the void, and Hark's ship was still watching from the shadows. Varkath's massive body drifted slightly, its movements slower now, each shift of its muscles sending ripples of dim light through its wounded hide. Ethan could see the burn where the cannon had struck, a jagged, glowing wound that seemed to pulse with each beat of the creature's heart. "You're bleeding energy," Ethan said, scanning his readouts. The numbers were dropping fast. "It is my life," Varkath replied, voice low, strained. "Without it, I will fade." Ethan's grip tightened on the controls. "Then we stop the bleeding. Tell me how." Varkath's golden gaze locked on him, steady despite the pain. "There is no way," unless the voice hesitated, as if the next words carried weight. "Unless I bind my life to yours," Ethan frowned. "Bind? What does that mean? My kind carry more than flesh and bone. I carry memory, power, essence. If I give it to you, I will live through you. But you will never be the same. Part of me will become part of you." Ethan's gut twisted. The idea of having this ancient predator inside his mind for the rest of his life was terrifying. Leaving Varkath to die here while Hark and whoever he'd called closed in wasn't an option. Before he could answer, the battlefield roared to life again. More ancient cannons powered up, their red targeting beams cutting through the dark. Dozens of drones swarmed from every direction, their movements sharp and coordinated. Hark's voice came over the comm, smug and taunting. "You can't save it, Cole, but you can save yourself. Look away, and I'll even let you live." Ethan's jaw clenched. "You've got a short memory, Hark. I don't abandon my crew." He glanced back at Varkath. "Even when my crew is the size of a small moon?" Varkath's eyes softened, just a fraction. "Then you choose?" Ethan nodded once. "Do it." The Predator's projection appeared inside the cockpit again, its tall, luminous form reaching toward him. Ethan felt a pull like gravity, but deeper, pulling at his mind, his thoughts, his very heartbeat. "Do not resist," Varkath's voice whispered inside his skull. "Let the river flow." A surge of heat rushed through Ethan's body. Flashes of alien landscapes, endless star fields, and battles fought before humans even existed tore through his mind. He felt the weight of centuries, the hunger of a predator, and the iron discipline that kept it in check. Pain flared in his chest. Sharp and electric, then faded into something else, strength. Awareness. His vision sharpened. He could feel every motion of the silver path as if it were part of him. When the connection settled, Varkath's voice came again, but now it wasn't just in his ears, it was inside him. "We are one." The drones closed in, weapons hot. Ethan didn't think he moved. His hands danced across the controls, but the silver path responded faster than ever. Weaving through the graveyard with impossible precision, Varkath moved with him, their thoughts aligning. The Predator's gravity pulses smashed drones out. Of the sky crushed cannons before they could fire, and bent incoming missiles into harmless arcs. But in the middle of the chaos, Ethan caught something on his sensors, a massive hyperspace ripple. Far bigger than Hark's signal could have summoned alone. Something huge was arriving, and when it dropped out of hyperspace, Ethan's heart stopped. A fleet. Not a mixed alien force like before this, was uniform, disciplined, and massive. Hundreds of warships in perfect formation, their hulls marked with the same black and gold insignia. Varkath's tone darkened in his mind. The Galactic Empire. And they have come for us both. The Galactic Empire fleet fanned out with military precision, their black and gold hulls gleaming in the cold starlight. Each ship bristled with weapon-sleek plasma lances, missile arrays, and something new Ethan didn't recognize. Massive. Spires mounted along the dorsal lines, glowing with a pale natural light. "They've upgraded," Varkath murmured in his mind, the words edged with something like, "Caution. Those spires are made to pierce predator flesh. They will cut through me as if I am nothing." Ethan's pulse hammered, and I'm guessing talking to them is off the table. "They will not speak," Varkath replied. "They have judged. Now they will execute." As if to prove the point. The lead dreadnought's spire flared brighter. Ethan's sensors screamed a proximity warning. Dozens of targeting locks lit up his display, all converging on Varkathon, by extension, on him. Hark's voice slithered into the come again, mocking. "Looks like the real hunters have arrived, Cole. And unlike me, they don't make offers." Ethan muted him with a flick of a switch. "All right, partner," he said to Varkath. "Time to see what this We Are One thing can really do." They moved. Varkath's vast body flowed through the graveyard, slipping between wrecks with a grace that belied its size. Ethan's hands flew over the controls, but half the time he didn't even need to move them. The Predator's instincts guided his own reflexes. The first spire beam lanced through the dark, but Ethan twisted the silver path at the exact moment Varkath folded. Space around them. The beam passed just meters away, warping in the distortion before dissipating harmlessly. The Empire ships adjusted instantly, their formation tightening. Squadrons of smaller craft swarmed forward, darting between the hulks of ancient warships. These weren't drones, they moved with the precision of trained pilots, each flying as if they shared one mind. "They are linked," Varkath said. "Slaves to the will of their admiral." "Then we break the chain," Ethan replied. He spotted the command vessel, a massive triangular warship at the center of the fleet, its hull lined with the same pale spires. "That's our target. Cannot reach it without breaking their ring," Varkath warned. Ethan smirked. "Then we break the ring." They dove straight toward the densest cluster of enemy ships. The smaller fighters closed in, their weapons spitting green plasma. Ethan ducked the silver path through a narrow gap between two burning wrecks, while Varkath's gravity waves crushed a pursuing craft into a crumpled sphere. The larger warships fired, but the blasts slammed into chunks of drifting debris that Varkath pulled into their path. Explosions lit the void like silent fireworks. Still, the ring held, until Ethan saw it. A munitions barge, floating half derelict but still loaded with volatile ordnance. Varkath pushed it. With a single bone-deep pulse of gravity, the Predator hurled the barge into the path of an advancing destroyer. The collision ignited every warhead on board. The blast ripped a hole in the fleet's formation, sending shockwaves through the entire ring. "There's our opening," Ethan shouted. They surged forward, streaking straight toward the Empire's command ship. But before they could reach it, the dreadnought's central spire began to glow with a blinding white light. Varkith's voice went cold. That is no ordinary weapon. That is a star piercer. One strike will kill us both. The beam was seconds from firing, and the only way to stop it was to get close enough to strike first. Ethan didn't hesitate. Then we go right through them. Varkath's muscles coiled, and together they launched forward like a spear through the heart of the Empire's formation. The silver path hugged the Predator's flank, shielded by the shimmering distortion fields they now shared. Enemy ships scrambled to intercept, their plasma fire bending away in warped arcs. The star piercer's glow intensified, the light so bright Ethan had to squint. He could feel the weapons aim not through sensors, but through the connection with Varkith. It was like a predator's gaze locking on them from across the void. They will fire in 6 seconds, Varkith warned. Then we only need 5. They weaved through a final wall of smaller cruisers, Varkath smashing one aside with a crushing gravity pulse while Ethan threaded the silver path through the burning wreckage. The dreadnought loomed ahead, its spire a blazing sun of lethal energy. At the last second, Ethan and Varkath split, as the silver path peeled off to the right, skimming so close to the dreadnought's hull that Ethan could see armored plates sliding to track him. Meanwhile, Varkath surged up from below, every vein of light in its body blazing with power. The starpiercer fired too late. Varkath bent the fabric of space itself, folding the beam back along its own path. It slammed into the dreadnought's bow, tearing through the spire and splitting the weapon in two. Shockwaves rippled through the Empire's formation. Without the starpiercer, their advantage was gone. Ethan didn't waste the moment. We're leaving. Varkath wrapped the silver path in a bubble of warped space, and together they tore free from the battle, vanishing into the safety of hyperspace before the Empire could regroup. Inside the cockpit, Ethan finally let himself breathe. His hands were shaking, but he couldn't tell if it was fear or adrenaline. Across the connection, he could feel Varkith's satisfaction, a deep, primal calm. You commanded well, the Predator said. You fought well, Ethan replied, but they're not going to stop. The Empire, the hunters, hark. They're all coming for us now. Varkath's voice rumbled like distant thunder. Let them come. You are my master, and I will bow to no other. The stars of hyperspace streaked around them, endless and bright. Ethan stared into that infinite tunnel of light, feeling the weight of what had just begun. A freighter pilot anymore? He was bonded to the deadliest predator in the galaxy, and for the first time in his life, he wondered if he might be the dangerous one now.